Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload. I used to think weekends were for slow mornings and grocery runs, a movie at home, maybe a walk along the river if the weather behaved. Casey and I had built a rhythm around that kind of simple routine. We'd been together a little over 2 years, long enough to finish each other's grocery lists and argue gently about whether paper towels should face up or down. She kept a plant on the kitchen sill that I could never remember to water, and I kept a jar of pennies she teased me about for being a grandpa thing. We weren't perfect, but I believed we were steady. On a Thursday night in late spring, she set her phone screen down on the counter and announced her plan with the airy tone people use when they've rehearsed it. "I need the apartment this weekend. Girls' spa retreat, no boys allowed." She tried to make it playful by bumping my hip with hers. I was halfway through stirring a pot of chili and didn't think to question much. She'd gone on similar weekends before: wine, face masks, a rented cabin somewhere upstate, big hats and group photos. It felt harmless. She kissed my cheek and added, "You should go hang with Mark or something. Guys' night. Order wings. Be feral." I saluted with the wooden spoon and told her to have fun. If I'm honest, I was a bit relieved. Work had been heavy. 2 software deploys back to back, a teammate out sick, my manager tossing me last-minute tasks like frisbees only he could see the catch for. Having the place to myself sounded like an unathletic victory lap: laundry done on time, sports on low volume, a nap without guilt. That's what trust looks like most days: quiet, unremarkable. Her gay best friend Brady was part of that trust package. He'd been in Casey's life since high school, a loud, quick-witted theater kid who grew into a loud, quick-witted marketing consultant. Brady approached life like a musical number, lots of choreography, all eyes please. He'd drop by our place, kick off his shoes, and complain about his clients in dramatic whispers that somehow carried across the room. I liked him in small doses, the way you like a strong cologne on someone you're not hugging. Friday morning, Casey left early with a duffel bag and a cheerful, "Don't let the plants die." The apartment exhaled after the door shut. I cleaned the stovetop until it shined, dumped the wilting cilantro, and cued a playlist from college that made the living room feel 10 years lighter. My phone buzzed during lunch with a number I recognized: Brady. He rarely texted me directly. Most group plans moved through Casey. I wiped salsa from my thumb and opened it. It wasn't a hello. It was a long message with details. Too many details. The first line said, "I can't wait for our romantic weekend. The key under the mat is still there, right?" Then a string of emojis I won't reprint. My stomach cooled like someone had opened a freezer inside it. I reread, waiting for the prank punchline. It never came. Another text followed, like a nervous drummer. "Got the champagne and the playlist you love. I'll bring your favorite snacks. Don't freak if I'm a few minutes late. Rideshare surge." Then, "I'll knock twice. This time we'll leave our phones in the drawer so we're not distracted." A fog moved through me. I typed, "I think you meant this for Casey." I hovered, then hit send. The 3 dots appeared instantly, a panicked heartbeat. He replied, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was absolutely not for you." Then a second later, "Please don't say anything. It's not what it sounds like." And after that, silence. As if he realized the absurdity of his own words and tried to rewind time by not breathing. Shock is a quiet thing. It didn't throw plates or slam doors. It made me wash my hands unnecessarily and stare at the faucet like it would explain marriage, math, and betrayal in one satisfying sentence. I walked into the bedroom and looked at the neatly made bed like it might be a witness. The blinds let in clean slices of light. Everything familiar looked slightly altered, as if the apartment had pivoted a degree to the left when I wasn't watching. I could have called Casey right then. I imagined her phone face down on a spa counter, cucumber water sweating beside it, her name on the front desk ledger. I imagined her laughing with her friends, steam on the mirrors, a robe with a logo stitched in blue. I pictured Brady somewhere across town, pacing, spiraling, drafting apologies that would never make sense. A part of me wanted to set the device on the table and walk away, pretend the text was a weird dream, burn it in my mind like a paper crane, and watch the ash drift up. But pretending didn't feel like strength. It felt like volunteering to be the punchline in my own story. I scrolled back through the texts Casey and I had exchanged earlier that morning. She had sent a photo of a coffee mug with a pun about Mondays even though it was Friday. I'd reacted with a thumbs up and a heart, so normal, it almost rubbed. Then I opened the message thread with her friend group, the one I was in for planning birthdays and surprise parties. They posted invitations, recipes, silly polls about which holiday dessert deserved national protection status, names stacked in the top bar: Alana, Tiff, Jody, Liv, Kendra, and a couple of others I knew less well. They adored Brady. Everyone adored Brady. I copied Brady's first message and dropped it into the thread with one sentence. Brady, this came to me by mistake. Can someone please explain what's going on? I didn't add shock or anger or jokes. I wanted daylight. Within seconds, the thread lit up like a summer sky. Question marks multiplied. A few "wait, what?" messages landed. Alana wrote, "That must be a prank, right?" Tiff said, "Brady?" A long stretch of dots appeared under his name, but no reply. The silence from him became an answer by itself. Liv, who never minced words, finally typed, "Casey, where are you?" Another minute passed. Then Casey came online. My phone vibrated with the speed of incoming messages. She wrote, "I can explain." She followed with, "It's complicated." Someone posted a GIF that didn't make sense anymore. I asked plainly, "Are you with Brady?" She answered, "No," which may have been technically true at that exact second. She added, "Can we talk alone? You know the feeling when a conversation becomes a cliff?" I looked at her words and realized I'd never climbed back to the top of the old view. I responded, "We'll talk when you get home." The thread went quiet, then slowly filled with supportive lines from her friends to me, gentle, cautious, a little stunned. A couple of them texted me privately, insisting they didn't know anything, that they loved us both, that this must be a misunderstanding. I believed they were surprised. I didn't believe it was a misunderstanding. That night I couldn't stay in the apartment. Every surface felt like a question I couldn't answer. I grabbed a backpack, tossed in a couple of t-shirts, and drove to Mark's place. He opened the door, saw my face, and didn't ask for context. We watched the late game with the volume low and ate pizza that tasted like cardboard in the best way because I needed something simple to chew. Mark told me, without being dramatic, that I didn't deserve this, that I should sleep in the guest room, and that he'd help me figure things out when the sun did its job. Saturday morning, I returned to the apartment early because I wanted to see it in normal daylight, not under the accusing glow of a street lamp. I stood in the doorway for a long time, keys in hand, listening to the fridge hum. My mind kept replaying Brady's line about the key under the mat. The mat. I lifted it and found nothing, thank God, but the idea sat there like a stain. We'd never given him a key. Had she? My chest tightened. I opened Casey's dresser, not to snoop for sport, but to confirm whether girls' spa retreat had any props. She'd taken a swimsuit and a book. Not. Much else was different. Her perfume stood where it always stood. The life we'd built still looked like our life. That's the strange part about betrayal. Nothing blares. The lamps don't flicker. The photos don't turn crooked. It's just you and air and a set of facts you didn't agree to. I called a locksmith. It felt extreme for a Saturday morning, but two cold realities pushed me forward. One, I no longer felt safe with the idea of unseen guests knowing how to come and go. Two, I needed the boundary for myself. The locksmith was efficient and kind in the way service people become when they've seen every version of human mess. He swapped the deadbolt, handed me 2 shiny keys, and said, "If anyone else needs access, you'll have to be the one to say yes." That line stuck to my ribs. I texted Casey, "The locks are changed. We'll talk when you get back. Please don't try to enter with anyone." I left it at that. She read it without replying. Brady remained silent, which was a mercy. If he'd tried humor or excuses, I might have lost the thin grip I had on calm. Afternoon slid into evening. I tried walking around the neighborhood but felt like I was pacing across a stage with no lines. Mark checked in, my sister called, and kept the conversation on practical rails. Water, food, sleep. I attempted all 3 and succeeded at 2. I folded laundry I didn't care about. I vacuumed corners the vacuum had forgotten existed. I scrolled through streaming options and settled on a documentary. I can't remember now. only that it had a narrator with a patient voice and shots of open fields. The planet kept doing planet things. People walked dogs, trains groaned by. Somewhere, a marching band practiced the same 8 bars again and again. At 7 p.m., Casey texted, "Can we talk tonight?" I typed and erased several versions of responses. I finally wrote, "Tomorrow evening when you're back." I wanted the daylight. I wanted her to step into the space where we had been us and feel the difference. She sent, "Okay." Then another, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. Apologies are currency. I wasn't ready to name a price. Sunday came in with polite sunshine. I brewed coffee that tasted like the way mornings are supposed to taste when you're not counting minutes. I cleaned the mugs she liked and set one on the counter, then moved it to the cabinet because I couldn't decide whether that was kindness or theater. Around noon, I forwarded Brady's first text to my own email so I'd have it outside my phone. I took screenshots of the group thread and saved them, not to blast on social media, never that, but because memory can get fuzzy under stress, and I wanted an accurate record. It wasn't about humiliation. It was about clarity. As the afternoon thinned, a weird calm settled on the apartment. The hallway smelled like someone else's dinner. Cars stacked at the light outside and peeled away. I sat on the edge of the couch with that unreasonable hope humans carry even when logic says otherwise. The hope that maybe there was some angle I hadn't considered, some benign explanation, some proof that this weekend was a misunderstanding. I knew better. But hope doesn't study for tests. It just shows up with a ridiculous pencil. Sunset leaned across the windows. Around 7:30, footsteps approached the door. 2 sets. A light laugh. Then the knock. Twice, exactly as Brady had promised in his text. My heart beat in a slow, steady drum, not fast. I stood, slipped the chain in place, and walked to the peephole. Casey stood there with her bag, hair pulled into a neat ponytail, face composed in a way that suggested she'd practiced all the expressions she might need. Beside her, Brady shifted his weight like a kid trying to act casual in a principal's office. He wore a crisp white shirt, the performance of innocence. I took a breath deep enough to feel it all the way to my heels, then said through the door, "Casey, I'm here. He isn't coming in." The hallway went very still. Her voice trembled through the door. "Please open up. We just want to talk." I stayed still, palm pressed against the cool wood. My heartbeat was steady, too steady, like my body had decided to keep me anchored when my mind wanted to run. "You changed the locks?" she asked, her voice rising half a note. "Yes," I said, calm but firm. "You told me this was a girls' weekend. That wasn't true." There was a shuffle, then Brady's voice, smaller than I'd ever heard it. "Man, please. It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think," I replied. "Go home, Brady. This isn't your door to knock on." Silence. Then whispering between them, muffled frustration. I heard her say, "Just go, Brady. Please." A door down the hall opened and closed. His exit, quick and quiet. When I finally unlatched the chain and opened the door, she stood there alone, eyes rimmed red, mascara smudged. She looked exhausted, but I didn't feel sympathy. I felt history peeling off the walls behind her. She stepped in slowly, like the apartment had grown unfamiliar. "You really locked me out." "I locked us out," I said. "From the version of this that was built on lies." She winced, looking around. "Can we just sit and talk? Please." We sat on opposite ends of the couch. The space between us might as well have been an ocean. She took a deep breath, opened her mouth, closed it again, and tried once more. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It started as, 'Don't,'" I interrupted. "Don't give it a poetic start. Just tell the truth." Her shoulders slumped. "I thought Brady and I were just close friends. It got blurry after New Year's. He kissed me, and I told myself it didn't mean anything, but then I couldn't stop thinking about it." My jaw tightened. "So you lied to spend the weekend with him?" She nodded faintly. "I thought if we spent time together, we'd see it was a mistake. I was going to end things with him and with you if it went wrong. I just needed to know what I felt." Her logic was so tangled, it almost made me laugh. "You needed to cheat to figure out if you wanted to?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I know. I'm sorry. I hate myself for it." I looked at the floor. The hardwood seemed more trustworthy than her face. "Do you even realize what you've done? You didn't just lie. You planned it. You rehearsed it. You made me complicit in giving you space to betray me." She started to reach for my hand, then stopped halfway, fingers suspended in the air like they'd forgotten what to do. "Please, can we fix this?" I stood up. "No, there's no fixing something that rotted quietly for months." She sat there, silent, shaking, maybe realizing this was the final version of me she'd get to see. The one that didn't yell, didn't throw things, didn't beg, just done. "I told your friends," I said after a long pause. "They saw the messages. That's how this ends. With daylight." She covered her face. "They'll hate me. Then they'll be seeing you clearly for the first time." The room felt cleaner somehow, like honesty disinfected it. She wiped her eyes, stood, and looked around as if memorizing everything she was losing. "Can I get my stuff?" "Not tonight," I said. "I'll pack it up. You can pick it up when I'm not here." She hesitated in the doorway. "You really mean this is it?" I met her eyes. "You ended it the moment you decided to lie. I'm just giving it a proper burial." She left without another word. The click of the elevator door closing sounded final, like punctuation. That night I sat by the window, watching city lights blink like tired stars. My phone buzzed every few minutes. Friends checking in, messages of support. Even Brady's number once, though I didn't open it. I muted everything. I wanted silence. I didn't want revenge. Not the messy, vengeful kind that movies glamorize. But part of me wanted accountability. So I posted one simple message on my private story, visible only to mutual friends. Sometimes the people who preach, "Honesty, forget it," applies to weekends too. No names, no details, just enough truth for anyone who needed context. By Monday morning, word had spread without me saying another word. Brady deactivated his socials. Casey sent one last message. "I understand if you hate me. I hope one day you'll remember the good parts." I didn't reply. Some stories don't need epilogues. Over the next weeks, I learned strange peace. The apartment became mine again. Not our place, not the scene of anything. Just space and light and time. I started running in the mornings, cooking dinners I actually enjoyed. Even took that solo trip I'd always postponed. There were nights I missed her laugh, or the way she used to hum while brushing her teeth. But nostalgia is a trickster. It edits memories, erases the lies, paints old walls clean. I learned to let it fade. Months later, I ran into one of her friends at a bookstore cafe. She smiled awkwardly, then said softly, "You did the right thing. She's trying to figure herself out." I nodded. We all are. Driving home that day, windows down, air thick with the smell of late summer rain, I realized I wasn't angry anymore, just lighter. Betrayal had taken something, yes, but it also made room for something better. Peace, clarity, a version of me that trusted himself again. And that's the real revenge. Not shouting, not shaming, not proving her wrong. Just moving on quietly, completely, while they stay stuck in the echo of what they destroyed. Months turned into quiet seasons. The sting dulled, replaced by a kind of strength that didn't announce itself. It just existed, steady and unbothered. I stopped checking social media for her updates, stopped wondering what Brady was doing, stopped rehearsing conversations I'd never have. Healing doesn't show up with trumpets. It sneaks in while you're doing the dishes, while you're laughing at something simple, while the world moves on without your permission. The apartment changed with me. I repainted the walls a lighter color, replaced the couch, donated the old blanket she loved. Each change felt like reclaiming square footage of my own peace. I even started hosting friends again, game nights, movie marathons, laughter echoing through the same rooms that once held tension. One Saturday morning, I found the old plant she'd left behind. It had survived somehow, leaning toward the window like it had been stubbornly waiting for a new season. I trimmed the dead leaves and gave it water. It felt symbolic, but not in a corny way. Just proof that even things left behind can learn to grow again. Every so often someone would ask if I'd heard from her. I hadn't, and that was fine. I didn't need apologies or explanations anymore. The closure I'd been chasing had quietly arrived the day I stopped needing her to give it. I focused on myself. New hobbies, new people, new laughter that didn't carry old echoes. I went back to hiking on weekends, joined a local volunteer group, and found comfort in small routines that belonged entirely to me. Life didn't rush to fill the empty spaces. It just did, naturally. One evening, months later, I got a text from an unknown number. It was short. "I'm sorry again. I hope you're happy." No name, but I didn't need one. I smiled faintly, deleted it, and kept scrolling through the playlist that had been playing since the day I painted the walls. I wasn't angry anymore. Not even bitter. Just grateful that the truth came out when it did. Because staying in that lie would have been far worse than losing her. The city skyline glittered outside my window. Same view, new peace. I raised a glass of water to the quiet. No drama, no grand finale, just the sound of moving on. The world kept spinning, softer now, lighter. And for the first time in a long time, I realized that I wasn't waiting for anything or anyone. I was home. And that's how it ended. Quietly, peacefully, and on my own terms. No yelling, no revenge, just the strength to walk away and start again. What would you have done if you were in my place? If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next one. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes walking away is the best revenge.